Well, good morning, folks. It is a wonderful and beautiful 28 degrees with a little rain and snow coming today here in Kalamazoo. It is a historic date, United States history. It's April 9th. Something happened on April 9th. Back in 1865, a little place called Appomattox Courthouse. A man by the name of Robert E. Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to Ulysses S. Grant, for all intents and purposes ending our Civil War. The President of the South, of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, has something to do with what we're going to take a look at here in a minute. I'll be right back. Little robin sitting there in the tree singing, welcoming in the morning over the valley of Kalamazoo. We're here at the top of Westnedge Street Hill in beautiful little Crane Park. Quite a bit of road work was done on Westnedge over the last 3 years. Back open again. Used to be a brick road back in the day. A lot of stories about this hill. My father told me about in the winter time when he was a boy, and they lived over here just about half a mile to our right, to the south. And cars had a hard time making it up the hill in the wintertime, and so they had horses, teams of horses, and they would hook onto your car or your vehicle if you would like, and they'd pull you up the hill. Some individuals found that they could back up the hill better, put their vehicle in reverse and back up the hill. When I was a boy, there were green barrels of sand positioned along the curb, went all the way up the hill here, and you were slipping or needed traction, you could hop out and throw sand under your tires. It's really something. It's WKZO TV 590 and radio straight ahead. Their tower, their broadcast tower, the top of their famous weather station right there. And off in the distance, we can see the pinnacle of Heritage Hall, where I do sunrise videos, right there from Western Michigan University, looking down over the valley. See how it sits on the ridge, and the ridge wraps around to the left and all around here to where we are. But this is beautiful little Crane Park. It used to be a little bigger. When I was a boy, this was so well maintained, and it still is, with the flowers and plants and the gardens. We couldn't come up here and really play. This is more of an adult garden or an adult park. They had the little tennis court down there. As you can see, this has been greatly improved here over the last couple of years. It's a beautiful green space. We'll talk a little bit here in a minute about the donation of this property for the city of Kalamazoo for this park. Exactly who was involved in that. There used to be more hedgerows in here, a lot more flower gardens. In World War II, this space was used for victory gardens and was very, very well kept. Pickleball courts down there. I've been here for 4 weddings over the years, and it was they're very, very beautiful weddings. What a nice place. A little garden with sister cities, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Pushkin, Russia. These are our little sister cities. May peace prevail on earth. I shall agree. Getting back here into parts of the day that these were just beds of flowers. You can see all around these flower beds. Of course, it's springtime, and I understand that there are people that still come up here and take care of these. These are all new right here, these benches. The areas back here we'll look at in a second. Can you imagine this all grown up with beautiful flowers all around? Okay, you can see it's really not a kid park. 2012 Inspiring Garden Award. Okay, now, like I said, my grandparents lived just over the hill here, straight ahead. There's a valley. In the bottom of the valley, there was a sand pit, and then the top of Belmont Street. And they lived at the foot of Belmont. Nice little arbor right here. You can see where somebody was going to get married. The bride, the groom would be back here. All the guests would be seated out here. The preacher would be standing here, and then the betrothed would walk through and have this all with flowers. Weddings right here. Beautiful trees, huh? Look at that. Okay. Well, Grandma knew we were going to come back here. She told us it wasn't a good place to come. We wanted to see anyway, so a couple of the other little neighborhood kids that we'd hang out with when we were at Grandma's house that lived here, we'd come back right straight back here. And let's take a little look up here. I have not been back here for probably very close to 55 years or so. First time. Okay. Here's the little woods. The trail used to lead right straight down. The bottom down there is sand. Belmont Street is right here. We're only about 300 meters from my grandmother's house. You know, we'd pop up here into the park and walk around. Okay, just like we're gonna do right now. Nice walkways. You can see as you along different trees, they're all marked. This is a Norway spruce. You see the terraces right here. This was after the property was donated. I began work on it, turning it into a park, and these terraces were made. This is a blue spruce. Okay. Well, Crane Park. How in the world do they get the name Crane Park? Why in the world would we be talking about the surrender of Robert E. Lee today? So forth. Well, the park and the street out here we were on just yesterday, and it's named after Mr. Crane. His name was Edgar. He was born in 1844. He died in 1911. Now, his wife had preceded him in death. Several children as well. He was a veteran, Mr. Crane, of the Civil War. He had a hard upbringing west of here, near Lake Michigan, actually halfway to Lake Michigan. Very, very hard scrabble life without his father, having to help his mother provide for the kids, himself. He went to school. I repeat, he went to school, even though that he was poor. It's a magnolia tree. And just see the buds starting to come out. Reminds me again of the Civil War, famous lithograph. I think It was by Mort Kunstler. Don't quote me on that, but it's called Moonlight and Magnolias. Look that up. You'll see what a real magnolia tree looks like. But yes, he went to school. Edgar became an attorney. He became very accomplished, very well loved in the community. Went to Chicago for a while, applied the trade, and moved a couple of places and settled right back here in good old Kalamazoo, purchasing a piece of property, prominent area on the top of Westnedge Hill, where he built his mansion, he and his wife Nancy. Around 1914, a couple of years before Edgar's death, there was a fire at the home, the mansion, and the turret was destroyed. The turret on the home has been replaced since then. They call it actually a tower, with 3 new dormers on the home. Edgar got sick, and he didn't do much about it. He didn't tell many people. He didn't go to the doctor. Some people came over to check on him, and he was almost dead. The doctor was called and immediately had him taken down to Bronson Hospital. He'd had appendicitis. Of course, it had gone way beyond that. A rupture. They removed what they could. He was doing better for a couple of days, and then the peritonitis just set in. It had gone too far and cost him his life. He died down in Bronson Hospital. Of course, the 15 acres of his beautiful property was donated to the city of Kalamazoo and later developed into the park that we're standing in here, which is named after Mr. Crane. Civil War veteran, local attorney, accomplished attorney, very well loved. The parties that he'd have at his home, overlooking, as we are right now, the city of Kalamazoo back in the day. Very, very nice settings. I'm going to take a look at his home. The Crane home is right there. We'll be right back. Right across the street, it's a beautiful Norway maple. Built in 1895 by Edgar and Nancy Crane. This is what is known as a Queen Anne Victorian. It's a Victorian era home built in what's known as the Queen Anne style. Okay, you can see the turret right here. I call it the top. They call it the tower. The top of the tower is removed, and you have the 3 little dormers. I believe that's what they were talking about. I looked in the photo what this looked like before the fire. Be right back. A basswood tree here in the park, right across from a pin oak. Corner of Grandview and Crane, the Crane Mansion. Very nice. The 1895 Queen Anne home and mansion of attorney Edgar and Nancy Crane. We'll be right back. Very cool period hitching post right out in front. Well, after the tower was destroyed there by the fire, Those 3 new dormers were added there. It's said to have given the home a colonial revival feature. I can see that. I'll be right back. Also here from Crane Park, we can look off here to the northwest and see the water tower of the state hospital. Right there on the hill. Well, I mentioned the 9th of April, the surrender of the Army of Northern Virginia. Well, on May the 10th, 1865, barely a month later, an element of Mr. Crane's unit operating down around Irwinville, Georgia. A couple of his friends that he knew personally within that unit. Mr. Benjamin Pritchard of Allegan, one of the leaders. Of course, I'm talking about the famous 4th Michigan Cavalry. And on that night, May 10th, 1865, near Irwinville, they captured Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. He was trying to skedaddle. Some said he was dressed in a woman's shawl and a woman's headpiece or bonnet, trying to sneak away. And those elements there, 2 gentlemen, 3 gentlemen of the 4th Michigan, they thought something was a little strange and checked that old boy out and found out it was an old boy, Jefferson Davis. So, not only is Crane famous local lawyer, everything else that he did during his life here in Kalamazoo, served as 4th Michigan Cavalry in the Civil War, the unit that caught Jefferson Davis. Personally knew the men, and they were friends of his that laid hands on Davis and brought him to justice. Very interesting. Little fact here, Crane Park. The sun is up. The mansion still stands. Very fun video to come and do this morning, especially on the 9th. Literally the day the United States of America began to come back together. Few more days, few more weeks, and elements down in the south and southwest areas would surrender, and all be over. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain accepted the swords of the officers at Appomattox Courthouse as they filed by tables that were laid out for them to lay their swords down and surrender. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, the hero of Little Round Top at Gettysburg. Colonel Chamberlain left the Civil War as a general. Think of those swords that he had access to on that table. As a aficionado of certain things in the Civil War, it was a literal gold mine. They weren't thinking about that then, and I wouldn't have been either. Thinking about this today. Beautiful day over the valley. It's cold. Got snow coming. Thanks again for watching. I sure appreciate it. I love bringing these type of videos to you. You get out here out of that darn snow and cold. Shake it off for the winter. Have a great rest of your day. First time watchers, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Hit that notification button. There's going to be more. Have a great one. Stay safe out there.